Hey, this is Martin Comtois, MC Starman. We're doing another Healer and the Dreamer recording. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
I
think last May, and with us we have Alan
Hello.
Churchill, related to Winston, I'm sure.
No relation.
No. Sure.
Yeah, I've checked into it.
Okay. And we're here to talk about astrology. We haven't done a post in quite a while. How you been doing, Alan?
Up and down, man. Yeah, but today good. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, huh? The times that we've been going through is really intense, and I think all of us are feeling the pressure of change. And so we're going to discuss the upcoming full moon in Pisces that is coming to us on the 20th at 5:45, I think, in the evening on the West Coast. I'm going to share the chart with you here just a minute, and we'll look at it. But interesting how I was thinking about that this morning. You know how the old kings, and even Ronald Reagan had 3 astrologers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and his wife and Ronald Reagan had astrologers, and in the past, governments had astrologers. So I wonder if Justin Trudeau checked in with astrologers and says, "Oh, we're going to plan an election for the full moon right before the equinox," and I wonder if the astrologer would tell him that that was a good thing for him. But probably, well, actually, definitely, we're not going to get into commenting on politics, because that would be a major digression into the subject.
But the fact of the matter is that astrology is seen as important by those in power.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine, and my friend Elodie in Newfoundland, who's an astrologer, Elodie Saint-Onge Aubu, who's an astrologer, and we were discussing, how we live in the wrong area. Before astrologers would be hired at the court, and what would it be like, and I think politics would be way different if they hired astrologers, to tell them what's ahead. I think that probably we wouldn't be in this much of a mess. So
maybe you should put in an application.
An application for I don't know. They might find my views a little too radical.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's nice to be back on here, man.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, good to be chatting about astrology again.
Yeah, so let's share the chart here, and let's see what that chart says to us. So here we are sharing the chart, and we're going to make it bigger. And then we're going to make ourselves bigger too. We go over here,
in there,
and then we go like that.
Does it need to be in the screen?
I think that it's going to be in the screen. We'll find out. We check the recording. Okay, here we go. So our setups changed a little bit, and I've moved since we last saw each other. I think the last recording was not since May or even April. And so it's been a few months, and I live in a new place, and this is my new recording studio. And we also have a new computer to do our recordings on. So, oops, what happened here?
Need to go get the pen.
Yes, I think so, huh? So we're going to move that out. No, we're going to move this out. Here we go.
There you go.
And we're going to click on that, and then we're going to get this. And here we go. We have a Sun Mars conjunction and the Moon Neptune conjunction, forming this really beautiful polar opposite, a Mars Sun conjunction, Moon Neptune conjunction. And also we'll talk about this, how it all makes angle with Pluto. So we have this here and this here. Oops. Whoa. Okay.
That's a cool little drawing.
Yeah. I still got to get the learning books.
So many lines.
Yes, but it's so So what that feels like. So we'll start with the the sun moon in opposition to each other. So that's a full moon. The moon is in uh, mm, a Pisces, so it's a very fluid Neptunian Piscean love for all. I love you, man. Neptune, moon conjunction in Pisces. It's very mystical. It's about connecting with the divine. And then the sun, Mars conjunction, sun in Virgo is very earthy, harmony with nature. I have an interesting saying about the Virgo Pisces polarity. Virgo, it wants to make everything, wants to transcend the material world by making everything perfect in the material world. And Pisces just wants to get out of the material world and transcend the material world outright. So then we have wanting the sun really entrenched in earthy Virgo, and the moon in transcendent Pisces. So it's like, do I really want to be in this world, or do I need to really, and then also with Pluto in Capricorn, the earth dimension is really real, weighing on us. And this is the spring equinox in a couple of days. On the 22nd, the spring equinox comes. So what that's going to feel like, that's always a time where, of great shifts. Everybody went back to school, the reality of the harvest, the earthy reality, the harvest festival that comes at the equinox. So with the sun Mars conjunction there, we're really engaged. And then Pluto, Neptune, this Pluto Neptune. And if you notice, Pluto and Neptune are in sextile with each other. And we're going to see that a lot. And we've been seeing that a lot. They're going to be far from a sextile for quite a while now. Probably for the next few years, they're going to be both leaving their respective sign, Pluto leaving Capricorn and Neptune leaving Pisces in the next 3 or 4 years, and they'll stay in sextile together. And these, Pluto's been in Capricorn for ever since 2008, so 14 years. Neptune has entered Pisces about 5-6 years ago, 8 years ago. And so Pisces, Neptune in Pisces is like big fog, it's the escaping of reality, the big, huge drug crisis that we're going through, and everybody that thinks they can transcend the material world by taking some drugs or medicines. That Neptunian in Pisces is a real big factor in our time of trying to dissolve the pain of existence through mysticism or through some kind of substance. And so that Neptune in Pisces, and then Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto is death and rebirth. And in Capricorn, it's been messing with the structures for quite a while now. And so then that reality of that sun and moon with Mars and Neptune and Pluto. So Mars in angle to Pluto, we got ancestral rage, we're mad at reality of the world. And then Mars in opposition to Neptune, we can be in service to others, but also victimization takes place. And so we don't know, whether we're in service or we're being victimized. And we know we're mad, Pluto, and we know things are changing. And so that kind of breaks down that Mars, Sun, Moon, Neptune reality. How do you feel that yourself, man?
Yeah, so I think what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling in this Mars Sun conjunction in the Virgo is that sort of action and will, right? Like this self motivation, I guess, to do something, to perfect certain things, in that Virgo. So there's a desire to want to do something in the world,
right?
But then the tension is that it being opposite the emotional realm, right? That
the moon Neptune.
yeah, like there's like
Yeah.
a moon Neptune emotionalness to that. So there's a tension there. So like you might want to do something in the earthy realm, but you
But
might
the
also want to
dreamy,
escape
yeah,
that
yeah,
as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
right? So it's kind of hard to sort of balance those two.
Well, with Pisces, you know, we want a kind of a utopian kind of reality. We want to live in the clouds, you know, we
Right,
don't want to
right.
suffer pain. And
Yeah,
Mars, sun wants to engage, you know, and then
yeah,
with the Pluto there, it's like, yeah. So there's a willfulness
yeah.
and kind of
A
one
retreatingness, yeah. Like a
exactly.
protection of yourself. And that actually brings me into that Venus here.
Well, let's finish with
Yeah,
Mars Sun because that's really before we move to that.
yeah.
The Sun Mars thing, you know, so the conjunction of Sun and Mars come on October 8th, it's exact. And the next new moon, we're going to have Mercury, Sun, Moon, and Mars all within a few degrees of each other. And so, beginning of Mars, and then also in October, we have Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter all turning direct. And then we have Mercury turning retrograde just in a few days after the full moon. Mercury turns retrograde, and so all of that Mercury, Mars, Sun, Moon conjunction in Libra, and then we're going to see that Mars, Sun conjunction on the 8th, and so then that's a cycle of 2 years. Mars and the Sun come together in conjunction every 2 years. Mars symbolizes, you know, the path to individuation. What am I here to do? How do I fulfill myself? And Sun is the light that I shine into the world. And so this is the individual contribution to the collective, you know, so in Gemini and with Mercury and the moon. And so there's a lot of issues of trying to find my place. How is my, you know, a lot of us are trying to find, you know, what is the, you know, what am I going to do with all of this? And the real key to what we're going through as a collective, really, I think the meaning of the crisis is that we're here to really, you know, what is this crisis about? It's about the lifestyle that we're having being unsustainable and unnatural, and it being forced to change. And so then what's my place in that? What do I do? You know, what, you know, how do we keep living the same madness, or do we make some changes, and what is my role in that? So I think that finding answers to those questions is really important, especially if that's full moon and that conjunction of Sun and Mars comes along.
So would you look back 2 years to when Mars and Sun conjuncted last time and see what was going on in your life then?
Absolutely, but also you would look back at the last year when Mars spent 6 months in Aries in opposition to that, you know. So then look back at, you know, the last, you know, the from spring to fall, basically last year Mars was in Aries. So now, you know, we're going to have that Sun, Moon, you know, which really we had similar full moons and new moons during those times, especially at the same time last year as now. Mars would have been in Aries and Sun and Moon would have been in alignment. So then, especially the next couple of full moons and new moons there, it's going to be really similar, you know. So we're going to have a new moon. I think it's on the 10th right here. Oops, no, you don't, but right here. And then we'll have a full moon right at the end here, you know, and so those would be, you know, and all in alignment with Mars and Mercury retrograde. Just a lot of, we're thinking through things. And
yeah, you're seeing a lot of people change jobs, careers, you know, the way they want to go. So yeah, definitely, I'd say there's some connection there with that Mars Sun.
Absolutely, right? I think fall, and we'll talk about this more when we do a video for the solstice, for the equinox. Sorry, but the other factor, and you were alluding to it, is the Venus, Uranus, Saturn, T-square. So that's here and here And here, whoa.
There you go. We'll take the arc round. Yeah.
And that like that. Okay, so that T square there, and that's going to be interesting because every single planet we're going to have, now we have Venus, and then, well, of course, Mercury will turn retrograde and they'll turn direct. And then we'll have Venus take the place of the T square. And then during November, we're going to have a new moon and a full moon that will be in exact alignment with Saturn and Uranus. So this is kind of the Venus, Saturn, Uranus is kind of a, well, we've been going through all along, all this year, you know, the Saturn, Uranus, and that's the last video that I did, is the Saturn, Uranus square, and you can see that on the channel. And we're going to do a follow-up to that because that's really important. But with Venus there, we're really feeling Saturn, Uranus. And what's your take on the Saturn, Uranus square?
Well, you know what, I was going to bring in that Venus, but the Saturn Uranus, I feel as so there's this discipline, this need to be disciplined, right? And
right.
And then you've got this whole upsetting sudden shifts from Uranus, right? So I mean, you're almost having to sort of rethink your, you know, it's getting shaken around what you need to be disciplined with, and so it's constantly shifting. It's like your focus is constantly being sort of shaken, so you have to reassess and reanalyze where you're at in order to sort of stay on track,
right?
You know,
right.
so that's how I feel a little bit with it being in I mean, we've got the earth sign and the air sign, right? So I think the Saturn, you know, in that light bringer, you know, in order to sort of find the answers, you really have to be disciplined, right, in order to bring that through.
Yeah, that's what I explained in that Saturn Uranus square. You know, first I talk about the cycle itself, and we look back at the last 2 full cycles of Saturn Uranus, and very important dates. The last 2 conjunctions of Saturn and Uranus has fallen into major times of change in our collective. The 2 conjunctions ago of Saturn Uranus was 1942. And so, that's the time where the war started shifting, and so that's a really important time. And then 1988, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and all of the fall of the whole, Soviet, bloc, and the dissolving of the Cold War. And so the next Saturn Uranus conjunction is in 2032. And it's a sense that we're preparing for some major collective shift. But, this is the waning square. So I think that what we're facing right now won't completely be resolved in 2032. I know that's not a real exciting prognosis, but really, you get the sense that the divide is so big and the counterculture is so, as such a, so then I look at the archetypal structure of Saturn and Uranus in that video, and I talk about how Saturn castrated Uranus to regain power over the heavens, in Greek mythology. And so Kronos, Saturn, wants to hold on to power. Uranus wants to transform and bring enlightenment and bring a change of age, a return to Aquarian, principles. And so then that Saturn, Uranus, the need to evolve versus the castrating influence of the old model. And so that Saturn Uranus tension, we've been feeling it a lot. And and then you were alluding to that the
Yeah.
real solution to it is to put our discipline into being, letting our freak flag fly. It's to really become really determined, and that's what we're seeing. Is that the crisis has been so difficult for so long that through it, we're becoming more and more disciplined and more convinced. Yeah, I know it's been really hard, but that hard reality has forced so many of us to go and get the tools that we need to be strong. And so now the individual is becoming stronger and stronger, and you can start seeing a pushback very similar to 1942, very similar to 1988. And this energy will be with us. In December, we get the third square of Saturn, Uranus, and then all of next year till the end of next year, for about 2 months, next fall, Saturn and Uranus will be within 1 degree of each other for a whole 2 months. And so we're still very much in that, and Venus being in connection with that is really emphasizing that again, huh?
Yeah, so another thing with that Saturn in Aquarius, because Saturn is also like obstacles, right? Like not just the discipline, but just like the blockages.
Yeah.
And Aquarius kind of representing that way of how the individual fits into the group, right? So there's a real shift and a sudden, it's like, I belong to this group, I belong to that group. We all, are trying to find that light. We're all trying to get to an end goal in this Aquarius, like how we all fit in as groups. And you've said it before, like with community and just finding your group, right? And so there's definitely something there. And people are coming out, like I said to you earlier, people are coming out the woodwork, that you're starting to reignite old friendships, or new friendships are forming. And I think it's all got to do with that. And then, yeah, like you're saying with Venus, should we talk about Venus, how that plays into that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because going back to what we were talking about with this Mars, the Mars Sun opposite Neptune Moon,
right?
And having that feeling of like action versus retreat, right? And then the moon, Venus here in Scorpio, has a similar flavor, I feel like, because I see Venus as harmony, right? Like trying to create equilibrium,
right?
In Scorpio, which would be, that sort of inevitability of death, right? So when you're faced with that, how do you bring like harmony to that?
Well, that's really beautiful. Plus also Venus and Mars are in mutual reception, right? They're in each other's sign.
Right.
So Venus is in Mars's sign, Scorpio, and Mars is in Venus sign. So that mutual reception, makes the two planets, get along really well.
Right.
And what we saw earlier this year, we had a Mars-Venus conjunction during the summer in Leo right here. Mars and Venus were in conjunction, and we're going to experience this winter, something really powerful where Mars and Venus are going to be in conjunction with Pluto. Forming, and that's coming in January. So some of the studies that I've been doing is to look at the long range forecast of fall and winter. And so we just got back here, and we'll end the share here. And when we were talking and we were working the chart, then I realized, we should have set it up the table.
Oh yeah,
because it would have been much easier to see. Yeah. So we'll do that next time. We're just getting started again, and we'll try to do every week if we can, and we'll start sharing some really good material with you guys. But one thing, and we were going to make a short and sweet video, and we're probably at half hour already. So
we rabbited. We had so much to talk about.
Well, we haven't been doing this for a while, but I think that so we understand the tension, and we've been living through the tension, and that Saturn, Uranus, and then also that Neptune, Pluto, there's a, and these are things that have been going on for a while, and we've been in this crisis for way too long already. And so so what is the positive of the crisis? And I think that that's really important. You know, I like to tell the story of you remember that story of it could be good, it could be bad.
I don't know.
So we have two brothers, elder wise brother and a young brother. And the young brother kind of has a real hard time getting his act together. One day he's walking down the path and he sees a rich man on his cart, and the wheel is broken. So the younger brother fixes the wheel. And the rich man's really happy, and so he gives him a horse.
Mhm.
And so the horse, so the younger brother is all happy, and he goes to his brother and he says, my problems are over. Here I have this horse. Tomorrow we'll start working the land. We'll take a crop to market, and then life will be wonderful. This is great. And the older brother says, well, this could be good. This could be bad. So then the next day, the younger brother and his son, are his eldest son, are working the land. And they're working the land and they're making rows and they're tilling the land with the plow, and the horse is pulling and the son's holding the plow and the father is guiding the horse, and they hit a rock and there's a big crash and the son breaks his leg. The brother goes to his older brother, says, I'm ruined. My eldest son, the pride of my life, has broken his leg. He probably will never walk again. This is terrible. This is terrible. I'm cursed. I'm, and the older brother says, well, this could be good. This could be bad. The next day, the emperor comes into town and he's taking all the eldest son to battle. But because the son has a broken leg, he can't go to battle. So then the young brother goes to his brother. Oh, I am so fortunate. This is so wonderful. My son doesn't have to go to meet a certain death. How lucky am I? And then the elder brother says, well, that could be good. That could be bad. And so in that sense, sometimes good is bad and sometimes bad is good. And I think that this prolonged pressure that we're all under is forcing us to make very important changes in our lives that are long overdue.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the meaning of Neptune and Pluto. Pluto is saying, okay, this old way is not working anymore. Old structures are dying and being reborn. And Neptune, the dissolving power of Neptune to surrender to a higher ideal, to surrender to mystical and creative practice. So in that sense, these times are inviting us to redefine ourselves. And that's the real lesson of our times, I think, that if we can take that opportunity to redefine ourselves and to become the change that we want to see in the world, then much good can come from these times. But the pain, and only if we resist these change are we in excruciating pain.
Mhm.
And so in that sense, learning to turn the pain into joy, to turn the pain into learning so that we change our ways. How do you feel that?
Yeah, I think I definitely see that. There's just so much change going on that if we try to sort of fight it, right? Like if you resist it too much, then it can make you ill for sure. Just trying to sort of ride those waves. I think that's a good story for our times. It could be good, could be bad. We just don't know.
Well, we're certainly confronted with the badness of it all,
Yeah.
and how do we turn it into a good, I think, is
Yeah.
really what's going to define the times ahead.
Mhm.
So I choose to be cautiously optimistic,
Yeah.
wow, there's a lot of weird shit going down.
Yeah.
This isn't right. The way they're treating the forest, the way they're treating, this illness, which is, kind of blown out of proportion. And the social crisis, the drug, overdoses, the suicides, the housing crisis. I mean, the problems are much deeper. you know, and then during this time of election, you know, everybody's promising to make everything perfect. But really, when it comes down to it, the power is with us, and it's up to us to change the way we live. And if we do, they're going to have to change too.
Yeah. Just have to, just focus on how we can be the best selves, right? And just treating other people with kindness. You know, that whole Saturn in Aquarius thing, just
Kindness for sure.
Yeah.
Be respectful to each
Yeah.
other and be kind to each other, because really, when it comes down to it, it's your neighbor and your brothers and your you know, your community that's going to get you through the times. And if you're fighting over some stupid little issues, you know, whether, you know, of personal choices, then the great, you know, the great powers that be have their way with us, because we're not organized and we're not working together as communities. Because if we do, then we
don't need them.
well, we need them, but they will just follow what we do.
Yeah.
And now they're following their own agenda, but we have to shift that agenda.
Yeah, definitely.
Somehow. Anyway, how did you think? That was pretty good. That's
good. I'm happy with that. I think I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks about it in the comments.
Absolutely. Please do comment and keep encouraging us, and subscribe to the channel. And we do Facebook as well. And we're just going to get our act back together and keep giving you guys some really good material. And take good care of yourselves. This is MC Starman and Alan Churchill. I have to come up with a nickname for you too, man.
We have to come up with something. Got to come up with something fun.
Okay.
See you, folks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.